am from Los Angeles, California. I'm here installing my show. What a Slight, What a Sound, What a Universal Shudder. I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I went to Temple University as an undergrad and Yale University as a grad student. But it's my first large, extensive solo show in Europe. I trained as a photographer, and I used photography for a long time and had several shows, but I just kind of lost my interest in it. The first collage I made actually was a card for somebody. I had to make a birthday card for somebody, and I had ads that were coming in the mail, and I just quickly made that. And then I thought, oh, I like this. I think I'm gonna make some more things out of this. It was because also I had run out of money. I couldn't do photography because I was using a 4x5. I couldn't afford the film. I couldn't afford to get it processed. And I didn't want to be in a position where I could only make work when I had money. I wanted to be able to make work all the time. So I just started to work with what was around. So the studio that my friend was letting me use for free was downtown. And when I would drive downtown, I'd see these very brightly colored posters, Colby posters, which is something that you still see in Los Angeles. Seeing those posters over and over again, I thought that it might be interesting to take these short phrases that I was extracting from Tender Buttons and How to Write by Gertrude Stein, and just put them on posters and staple them to, telephone poles around, or wherever they were. That's where I ended up posting them. If I wanted them to be up longer, I'd get a ladder and I'd put them a little higher. The film is called With It, Witch It, As It, If It Is to Be, which of course is more Stein text. And it's about 20 women artists. Two of those people aren't necessarily women identified. They're sort of gender non-binary, but were born women. They're friends that are from New York and Los Angeles, working in their studios. And there's an audio track of about 6 or 7 writers and artists reading a text called Many, Many Women by Gertrude Stein. I think that was like a push to try to honor people's practices, of people's working art practice, to sort of look at somebody while they're working. I think is the sort of most respectful way to look at a person, because normally when women are represented, they're represented like naked, or it's all based on their looks. It's not based on their looks. In this case, it's based on work, like physically making something. And even when you see an artist's work, you don't see them physically making their work. And I learned so much just from making that, because I got to see my friends doing things that I didn't know they did.
Charming. That one is one being almost completely feeling in being almost completely charming.
You walk around the bend and there's this large collage which is similar in that it's every title that Gertrude Stein ever wrote. So it's like a totem to her words and her work. And we were kind of trying to organize that yesterday and put it in order. Owen and I, the titles are just so great. Just the titles alone are just, they're so original, and some of them are so funny, and just like I really enjoy that, reading that piece, just like her words. And there's a text on the floor that will take you out of the film that is text from the film, and that text also continues into the next gallery in a painting, in a blue painting that starts, I think it starts One She Is Kissing Then, or Anyone She Is Kissing Then. So that, and then that text is also in the print upstairs. So there's a repetition within the show, which is a reflection of what Stein did again. So things repeat. And, so this friend of mine has a record label, and he asked me to, if I wanted to make a record, and I knew that I wanted to make I'd wanted to make a recording of Miss Fern Mesquine because it's a really short text. It's perfect for like one side of a record. And the word gay is used 136 times. And so she made the word gay mean gay, like sexual orientation.
To be gay. And then we're then being gay, being quite regular and being gay.
I had a little time to think about the other side of the record, and I did a little research to try to find out what the origin of queer was in terms of like sexual orientation, and it also comes from Gertrude Stein. In 1903, she wrote a story called QED, which was a narrative story about three women just graduating college, and there's kind of like a love triangle. And at some point, the word queer is used over and over again to describe one of the characters, Adele, who is actually Gertrude Stein. And her friend is saying, you should meet so-and-so because she's queer and you're queer. And she uses the word queer at least 6 times in that paragraph. And it didn't necessarily stick when she used it, but it's, according to the internet, it's the first known use of that word, trying to make it mean gay. So on the other side of the record, QED, part of QED, because QED is a longer text, is read by 6 or 7 friends of mine in parts, and that'll play in the gallery, I think 4 times a day or something. They'll flip the record.
She was gay there. Always she was gay there.
Right now, there's a billboard that's up not so far away. Maybe it's half a mile away. It says, "What a slight, what a sound, what a universal shudder," which is the title of the show. And then there will be 14 40 by 60 inch posters some of them are bus shelters, and I don't know exactly. They'll be appearing in Dundee between now and August. So the book that I made at Hospital Field is a book of collages, and that's how I work through ideas. I usually read and take notes, and then I'll write down things that I want to make collages from. And also I'll have a notebook with a list of things that I want to make. And then I asked Owen to bring me some art form magazines from DCA, which he did. Brought them to me at Hospital Field, and then I used the studio there and made a book that's in the show. And I guess they're going to turn the page once a week or something. So most of the book will be visible at some point. In the case of the new paintings, there's 3 new paintings in the show. The paint is car paint, and then it's screen printed on top. So there's only one of each painting, but it's like it is a reproducible object in a sense that's not been reproduced, but it's related to the posters in that way because the process is related. The posters are letterpress, and the paintings are screen printed, and then the vinyl is also related because it's a very common, easily reproduced way of that we see things. So there's a neon sign, which is also something that in America is very common. You see neon signs everywhere, and vinyl, and screen prints. Right. Yeah. So the vernacular ways of communication or signage are what I'm trying to use. So it's sort of like relatable and familiar. So you can look at the work and notice it as something that's familiar to you in terms of the way that it's presented to you. It's like recognizable. And then hopefully people will spend time with the work and read it